Hi, I'm Jay Andrews, and welcome to Laguna Tools. This is our new studio, and this is our new REVO 1836 lathe. And it's a wonderful lathe, 18 inches of turning capacity here, 36 inches of length on the lathe. And today we're going to cover the receiving, assembly, and all the accessories of the new REVO 1836 lathe. We thank you for your purchase, and today you'll get a lot out of the video here on how to go through and set up and use each and every one of the accessories on this lathe. Let's go over, we're going to reset over here at our workbench, and we're going to go through and do a complete assembly. The first step is to prepare your workspace. Make sure you've got a clean and secure work area. There's a lot of heavy parts with this lathe. You want to lay out your tools. You'll need just a good selection of common tools for this one. A few Allen wrenches, a couple of open-ended wrenches here, screwdriver, and so forth. Let's get about setting up our lathe. Okay, that's the last of the accessories. Now, we ordered our REVO 1836 lathe up with just every accessory that you can get with it, and we're going to show you multiple configurations and how to set it up for each one of those. We've got our main box over here, we've got our accessory boxes, and we've got our tools set up right here, so we're ready to go. Now, you might need some safety glasses, but the biggest thing that you can get is get someone to help you. These pieces are heavy. We've moved a lot of boxes in here and this lathe in here, and every one of these is solid steel or cast iron, and it's very heavy. So get a friend to help you out, get a couple of sawhorses if you need to, or get a good workbench to set these items on. And there it is. And this is how your 1836 lathe is going to come packed, styrofoam. A lot of the accessories will be in the top and in little compartments here. First thing you want to do is get out your owner's manual, read through the owner's manual, follow along. You've got the assembly instructions inside. We're going to do assembly here on the video, but do read and follow all the instructions in here. There's no more important safety tool than this in your shop. Now, the first thing to do is get all the small parts out of the lathe, and you'll see that there's some items like this, like little brackets. Here's my live center, my drive center. Pick all these parts out, get them out of your way so that you can handle the heavy parts without having to manipulate the small pieces when you're trying to handle something that's heavy. Let's set these on the workbench. Here are the leveling feet, some additional hardware bags inside of here, face plate. Here's our tool holder. Let's set these over on the workbench. Here's our brass tip knockout bar, and you're going to see each of these pieces as we go through and start installing them on the lathe. Now it comes to the heavy parts. Here's one of our leg assemblies, and this is cast iron. It's very heavy. Get a friend to help you lift it out. If you think that you can't handle it, it's always good form to have someone help you lift these items out of the box. All right, now you're going to see the main body of the lathe. You're going to see the other leg, the tail stock, and we're going to go through and lift these pieces out just like we did the last leg here. Again, get some help for this. It might be helpful at this point in time as well to go through and cut your box and get it down out of the way so you're not having to lift this up and out. If you have an overhead lift, you can use that. Some people will use an engine lift or some other means to go through and lift these out of the box. Again, these are heavy parts. Get some help on these. All right, so now we've got our legs out. There's some protective cardboard in here. Make sure that as you're removing the plastic and the cardboard that you don't set on the floor. You don't want to slip when you're handling these pieces. Now you want to go through and kind of unwrap this and get your hands on it. The other part I'm going to pull out, I'll pull out the tool rest and slide that out of place. And this is where you want to get your rag handy. You're going to have some grease now that is covering the bed and some of the other components here to keep the rust off of it during shipping. This will give you a little more access, and what we're going to do is we're going to remove the tailstock and headstock to get some of the weight off of this as we're lifting out. So opening up the box, cutting the corners, and then take the end of the styrofoam here and then bust this out of the way. We're going to pull this little pin here on the end, and that'll allow us to slide the tailstock off. There are small safety pins located in each end of the bed to prevent over travel when the lathe is set up. Right now for removal, we're going to go through and remove these pins. I like to use an Allen wrench in these, bust them loose, and then they'll come out. Set these aside, and you'll use these after you set your lathe up. Trimming this corner off the foam will help give you clearance for the tailstock handle. Get that out of the way. Make sure you're clear on the other side here as well. And there's a piece of foam tucked right here underneath the tailstock, and that'll impede your progress a little bit. But if you have good clearance on the sides and get this thing moving, it'll slide right off. Okay, we'll do the same steps again with the headstock. Now there's several ways to do this, but one of the easiest ways that I found is to continue trimming the end of this away so that our frequency drive can go through and slide off as well. On the opposite side, there's a lock handle here that you can loosen and bring the motor handle up so that it clears the other side. And you can set this down and then ratchet the handle to where it's pointing back in the up position. So now that's going to clear. Let me trim this away. Now we should have enough clearance to go through and slide this off the end here. The lock handle is on the back side. Simply loosen the handle. You'll do that by pushing down until it releases. Now the headstock should slide a little bit. Now there's a styrofoam block beneath the headstock as well. Again, by getting the headstock moving, you can go through and probably work your way through that. You might be able to get there and slice this away there also to remove the headstock. The headstock is way heavier than the tailstock, so get a hand to help you move it off the lathe. Now I've got the headstock to the position where it's ready to come off. I'm going to get a hand here. We're going to slide this off and move it to the bench. There we go. Now we've got our headstock and our tailstock off, and we're about ready to lift the bed out. If you need to get a few extra pounds off of there, you can take the banjo assembly off by simply loosening the lock handle and then sliding this down off the bed. Remember, there's some foam in the way, so you might have to break through that or cut that out of the way to slide it off. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on here because we've got a couple of strong guys to help lift this out, and this actually kind of gives us another handle to lift by here if we need to. So let's go ahead and lift the bed out. We're going to set it up here on the workbench, and then we're going to go through, clean it off, and start assembly. Okay, so now we've got the bedway up on the workbench. We've got the tailstock and headstock. I'm going to slide the banjo off and get it out of the way right now as we go through and get ready to clean up. Let's set this out of the way. Now again, you're going to notice that we've got the shipping grease that's on here. It's pretty thick. There's a couple of things that'll cut it. Use a little bit of mineral spirits right now, some denatured alcohol, something like that to clean up your bed. Go ahead and take a rag, start wiping as much off as you can. Followed up by a quick bath here with some mineral spirits. Let's get this cleaned up and let's get ready for the next step. Since these legs are already on the floor, there's no sense in lifting them up. You go through and unwrap these and wipe off these surfaces now as well.